Okay, now, so 2 of my YouTube channels are down. Only one left at the moment for until November or next week on one of them. So get over to Patreon, Mark Salon. Either get onto one of these or all of these, whichever you like. But www.patreon.com/Mark Salon, bitshoot.com Salon, library.tv/@Salon, :1, brand YouTube Salon, we go social Mark Salon, and then we can get down to the nitty gritty. So apparently we're in a pandemic. Why are we still pretending? Daily bullshit deaths, NHS England data. Face masks made compulsory in shops. You see where it is right down there. Look where it was and where it is. And we're now here. But face masks weren't needed until this point, and we're here. There's a pandemic going on. A pandemic of lies and deceit by the government. Time to make them do their jobs. Israeli officials celebrates Beirut explosion. A day of joy and a true huge thank you to God who organised for us with this wonderful celebration in honour of the Day of Love. Making to be Av holiday, we've got a fantastic fireworks show from Beirut port. Moshe Feiglin, Israeli politician. Joel Davis, a 22-year-old co-founder of a charity that advocates for victims of sexual violence and Nobel Peace Prize nominee, was arrested on June 26 for working to arrange sexual encounters with children as young as 2 years old. Looks are deceiving, aren't they? It is difficult to free fools from their chains they revere. Voltaire. How can you tell the truth is being told? Well, when Facebook blocks it, Twitter deletes it, Google hides it, YouTube bans it, the media censor it, and your government forbids it, then someone's telling the truth. No lives matter to the psychopaths in charge. Have you ever wondered how just one little dog controls so many sheep? Fear. False evidence appearing real. The poison doesn't have to work. It just needs to be mandatory. You know, like Windows updates. Report from Scottish hospitals. At the beginning of the lockdown, all senior staff at the hospital in East Kilbride were invited to a meeting where they were told anyone 45 years or older were to be classed as DNR. They were threatened with their jobs if they went public. Logan's Run, anyone? I think the following quote is brilliant. It really says it all. Imagine a man who forced his wife to stay away from her friends, family and job. Imagine he also told her she should not leave the house unless absolutely necessary, and to cover her face and avoid people if she does go out. Imagine he threatened her with punishment if she didn't submit. Would you call this abusive? It does not stop being abuse when the government does it. Last bullshit figures announced. You're all going to die, you're all going to die, you're all going to die, you're all going to die. By the Ministry of Make It Up. This is disgusting. And they're selling this for your kids. They are seriously taking the piss. 5th of September, Dover demonstration. The biggest call out to patriots since World War II. Time to take action. the little veteran. Great bloke. Get down there and support him. Because our government are betraying us, so we need to do it ourselves. Oh my gosh. They're even putting the bullshit in the toilet, look. What is that? Yes, that's the sign of the bullshit. They're subliminally programming us in many different ways. Check this out from the sanctimonious New Zealand PM. We are quarantining everyone. Now we are also mandating testing. The testing is the problem. That's where they're going to get you all. That makes us the most stringent in the world. There are countries that are requiring self-isolation. We're taking it a bit further. If anyone moves into a common area or is getting some fresh air, which is all monitored, no one can do that on their own. They can only leave or be in a space to get a little bit of fresh air if they are supervised, because of course it's a quarantine facility. We have put in millions of dollars into supporting that to happen. I have a number of questions about people refusing. What do we do if someone refuses to be tested? Well, they can't now. If someone refuses in our facilities to be tested, or our concentration camps, that should be instead of facilities, they have to keep staying. So they won't be allowed to leave after 14 days. They have to stay on for another 14 days. So it's pretty good incentive. You either get your test done and make sure you're cleared, or we will keep you in the facility, the concentration camp, longer. So I think most people will look at it and say, I will take the test. That's called coercion. That's unlawful. And that's your government. The unlawful government of New Zealand, Australia, America, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Spain, everywhere. The governments are the problem. You've seen that graph at the beginning. There's nothing going on at the moment. And yet they're still trying to keep control. We need to end this and end this now. I'm sorry, sir, but you need to move on immediately. The migrants in the hotel across the road have complained about you. Operation Bullshit. The first wave was a hoax. Seasonal flu detected as a bullshit. All deaths are attributed to the bullshit. Tests are contaminated. They know that a small part of the population will see through the psyop and minimise the pandemic threat. Some people will also protest loudly against quarantine and social distancing. ID2020.org. They will poison you with nanotechnology and digital ID. That the second wave will be real, with many deaths. Kill weapon antennas will send frequencies causing mass sickness and death. 60 gigahertz, the frequency that prevents oxygen absorption into the blood, will produce respiratory distress, identified as symptoms of the bullshit. All ages will die, even the youngest, because kill weapon has been installed everywhere unbeknownst to you. Will totally discredit those who question the seriousness of the pandemic. Will paint the anti-quarantine protesters as irresponsible to destroy the possibility of future protests. Will explode the idea that only the old are vulnerable. Will justify an even more massive fascist lockdown with digital surveillance, checkpoints at internal borders, and zero resistance permitted. Bullshit. Stay asleep. Save the hoax. Anyone can see we're lying. The only reason to believe us are 24/7 media programming, massive cognitive dissonance. Don't let the facts distract you. Herd instinct. We can play you like a fiddle. Do not look into our fraudulent science. The total lack of proof behind bullshit is not your business. Stay asleep. Protect the elite. Save the hoax. I call on biochemists, biologists, virologists and cell culture specialists to carry out these control experiments. New normal. Is this together? Stay home, save lives, flatten the curve, social distancing, essential workers, stay safe. Terms recently used by media to program the minds of individuals into submitting to unjust laws, and the largest reason for the divide we are currently seeing amongst the masses. Get on with your life. Professor says as bullshit, not as deadly as first thought. Bullshit is not as deadly as was thought, and the public fear that is stopping the country returning to normal is unfounded, a leading expert says. Carl Hennigan, Professor of Evidence-Based Medicine at Oxford University, calls for the government to intervene and proactively reassure the population. They're never going to do that, though, are they? He says exaggerated fears of bullshit have led to people going about their daily lives misunderstanding and overestimating the risk. And he said introducing local lockdowns could do more harm than good by forcing people into their homes, potentially infecting other vulnerable people that live with them. Professor Hennigan, whose work led to a lowering of the official death toll after he revealed bullshit deaths were being counted even if someone had subsequently died of other causes, spoke as he released new data revealing the infection fatality rate had fallen from 2 to 3% in the height of the pandemic to 0.3. He said if the downward trend continues, the pandemic may end up no worse than a bad flu season. Reason for the fall, he said, could not only be down to the consequences of lockdown because cases are continuing to drop despite society opening up. Rather, it was linked to better understanding of how to treat bullshit patients, more testing, diluting the number of severe and fatal cases, the fact that more younger people are catching the bullshit, and that the bullshit is circulating at a much lower level. He added that the lower death rate comes alongside a drop in bullshit-related hospital admissions. Recent figures show the low numbers of bullshit patients being admitted, despite infections having increased throughout July. That's only because more are getting tested and the tests are useless, as we all know. More than 1,000 Britons are now testing positive for bullshit each day, and the true background figure is estimated at 4 times this amount. But let's not forget, they're testing for the common cold, or genome 8, which we all have. However, there are currently fewer than 50 daily hospital admissions for the bullshit. Professor Hennigan said, "We reset how we calculate the death rates. We now need to reset how we communicate the risk of the bullshit." And let's not forget, take plenty of vitamin C and zinc and you won't get it in the first place. It's the cold. Never forget, it's just the cold. Bullshit is nothing more than your own DNA. We are the disease. So now we know what is going on for the most part. No more excuses for hiding behind your masks, or your muzzles as they should be referred to. Get off your damn knees and stand like men and women. Hold the government accountable and all the medical professionals and scientists accountable who have colluded in this genocide plot. If not, then go get your poison. To err on the side of caution, it would be better to hold these people to account individually as the man or woman, and not the dead legal fictitious Mr. Mrs. and not by their working title legal fiction either. We must remember that they want every government dissolved worldwide in order to bring in the one world government, a complete shift of paradigm. And this situation would be the perfect excuse to do so. Every government was corrupt and or incompetent, and we must never let this happen again. You can just picture it, can't you? The same bullshit they came out with after the First and Second World Wars. We may well end up involuntarily doing their dirty work for them once again if we are not very, very careful. Amanda Dawn Vollmer is the brilliant lady who discovered this extremely vital information for mankind. Her website and YouTube channels are at the links directly below. There they are. What are you waiting for? Go get them. Educate yourself. Educate others. And then let's hold these corrupt criminals accountable for what they've done to this country. Black Lives Matter leader Charles Wade charged with sex trafficking. Charles Wade, a prominent Black Lives Matter organiser and co-founder of Operation Help or Hush, was arrested last month and charged with human trafficking and prostitution. Mr. Wade was arrested at a Howard Johnson Inn in College Park, Maryland on April 25th. Police said he was residing in a motel room where he allegedly pimped a 17-year-old girl, the Daily Caller reported Thursday. Mr. Wade was held on several counts relating to felony human trafficking and prostitution. He was bailed out shortly after his arrest, according to a statement he released on Twitter Wednesday. He was arrested as part of a sting operation in which an undercover officer responded to an ad Mr. Wade allegedly placed for a 23-year-old woman on Backpage.com, a website frequently used by sex traffickers and prostitutes, the Daily Caller reported. Investigators said the woman, who turned out to be a 17-year-old girl, called Mr. Wade her manager. She said he knows she was a minor but wasn't worried because of her upcoming birthday. She said she also told investigators that she provided all the money she earned to Mr. Wade, the Daily Caller reported. Mr. Wade told the Daily Caller that he was unfairly arrested because he was too trusting of a female tenant who he was temporarily housing as part of his Operation Help or Hush charity. Mr. Wade said, "She told me she was 20 years old. He said he was arrested because he signed for, provided identification for, and paid for the room, but said she acted alone in conducting illegal business there. He said she was also arrested for soliciting and prostitution. Her family said she has a history of running away and doing this. I don't know. I am not a pimp. Never have been," Mr. Wade tweeted Wednesday. His statement posted on Twitter blamed conservative trolls for attempting to smear him with the story of his arrest. For the past 2 or 3 days, trolls have been actively baiting conservative news outlets to report on my arrest, amongst other vindicative things that they are actively working on. He wrote, "I am confident that I will be cleared of all charges I am currently facing."
If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent. For the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Joseph Goebbels.
Andrew compared me to his daughters, accuser Virginia Giuffre claims. The Duke of York's accuser has claimed Andrew played a guessing game about her age when they first met and compared her to his daughter. The Duke of York's accuser has claimed Andrew played a guessing game about her age when they first met and compared her to his daughters. Virginia Giuffre, in a new documents series, surviving Jeffrey Epstein, says she was 17 when he was introduced to the Queen's second son in London and described him as a abuser and not the prince from the fairy tale stories you read. Miss Giuffre, who says she was trafficked by paedophile financier Epstein, alleges the Duke had sex with her on 3 separate occasions, including when she was 17, still a minor under US law. Andrew has categorically denied he has had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Miss Giuffre. But let's not forget, he continued to go to the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein's property, didn't he? And went to Jeffrey Epstein's island. That tells you all you need to know about Andrew the paedophile. Black Lives Matter member reportedly charged with human trafficking and prostitution. A member of Black Lives Matter movement who was active in the protests in Ferguson, Missouri, was arrested and charged last month with human trafficking and prostitution, Fox 2 reported Thursday. According to court records obtained by the television station, Charles Wade was arrested in April for allegedly hiring a 17-year-old girl for sex in College Park, Maryland. The operation was discovered by undercover agents. The Daily Caller, which also obtained the arrest report, said Wade was charged with 7 counts, including felonies for human trafficking. The charges carry sentences of up to 25 years in prison and a $15,000 fine. Wade posted $25,000 bond and left jail on April 27th, according to the Daily Caller. Wade currently runs Operation Help or Hush, a non-profit created during the Ferguson protests. Last September, he began crowdfunding a centre for children and youth near Ferguson, according to Fox 2. He was included in a profile by the Washington Post of Black Lives Matter activists last year who protested the August 2014 shooting of Michael Brown by Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson. Wade said in a statement on Twitter he was asked to help the woman who claimed she was 20 to find an emergency shelter. Trump says the 2020 election will be the greatest scam in history. And there's a video if you want to find the links. As usual, they're in the description. President Donald Trump said the 2020 election will be the greatest scam in history as he criticised the Democrats' push for mail-in ballots as the bullshit has changed the political landscape. In a call to Fox News' Sean Hannity, Trump said it's a disaster and it's going to be no matter how you look at it. They're sending out 51 million ballots to people that didn't ask for them. He noted that his voters in Florida via an absentee ballot, saying absentee ballots are great, but that's when you go through a process. You ask for it, they send it to you, and it's very secure. And finally, when you die and they bury you without checking your pockets. Feeling safe from the bullshit? Wish I hadn't farted though. The exact moment you knew she was lying. And then he grabbed me around my neck with one hand. My wife said, when I finish cutting the grass, to come inside so we can talk about our feelings. How old were you when you realised that damn it, I'm mad, spelt backwards, is damn it, I'm mad? Does your pussy tingle after you orgasm? No, he just rolls over and farts, the filthy bastard. The missus just came into the living room wearing a little PVC number, fishnets and high heels. She handed me a cold beer and told me to sit back, relax, and when she comes back, she'll give me what she does best. I can't wait. I effing love her shepherd's pie. Is it just me, or do we suddenly smell delicious? Dennis Healy. World events do not occur by accident. They are made to happen, whether it is to do with national issues or commerce, and most of them are staged and managed by those who hold the purse strings.